Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the data analysis part. Today we are discussing about what exactly data analysis is all about. Second, why data analysis or analytics is essentially required nowadays for any of the enterprises. Next, we need to know about what are the different types of data analysis, followed by the steps we involved if you want to make data analysis as a regular one. As you see, data analysis is something becoming essentially important nowadays for any of the organizations. So the kind of explanation which I am going to provide you now, this is irrespective of the domain which RV belongs to. Either whatever the domain or whatever the enterprises RV belongs to, we need to understand and we need to examine the kind of data which is there for any of the enterprises. Either it may be in retail outlet where they want to know about the perception of the customer, or it may be in healthcare one where, for example, diagnosis, right? So wherein we need to diagnose something, whether a particular thing is there for him or not, right? Maybe cholesterol checks or something like whatever it is. At the same time, to know about the trends and as well as the sales trends of the organization, or they want to know about the future needs and future projections of their business, all that. So for all this, end of the day, there must be some authenticity is required. So it's not something like the kind of exaggeration what we do in terms of the decisions, what is that are we going to take. There must be a concrete information which has to be done in a scientific manner using different statistical tools, techniques, all that. So this is where generally data analysis majorly using nowadays across industries. So there is a difference where you need to see from business analysis to data, because most of the people have some confusion over these two. In regard to that, I am just mentioning this point. Business analysis is completely relating to the business requirements, where we are trying to understand the business problem of the customer or of an enterprise and providing solutions for them. That's what generally business analysis stands for. Whereas data analysis, where we work majorly on the data, what is that we have collected or what is that we have. So based upon the data, what is available with us, so that we could understand what could be the future needs, projections, all these will be understood because of this. So data analysis majorly extract the information from the enterprises using different tools and techniques, something like R programming. Nowadays extensively we were using like Python, SPSS, even the basic one we are using for since ages called Excel. At the same time, for data visualization and all that, so we have tools like Tableau, Power BI. So these are the different tools which we are using for a very long time in reference to the data analysis and all everything, especially. But some people may opt for data visualization tools, something like Power BI, Tableau, all that. Some people may use Excel for that. Some people may have a requirement using Python or R programming, all that. But the advantage is that whatever the tools are we using, especially for data analysis, the fortunate thing is that we get trial versions, even some trial versions for the training purpose, especially when we want to train ourselves. Those are sufficient. At the same time, some are open source. So that is an advantage, and more why data analysis is more popular because of that reason even. So this is what generally data analysis is all about. Now, second point, why data analysis? For what reason data analysis is being used? What was the reasons behind? Is it only for a business decision? Yes, of course, to an extent possible, not to the full extent. Data analysis is required for any of the organizations to take the business decisions based upon the facts which are evident. Because without understanding the facts, taking up the business decisions will not give us any strong results. So if you want to make any kind of decisions in the business, accurate and it must be faster even, both. It must be accurate, it must be faster even. But facts must be understood, facts must be taking into an account. This is what generally the business decisions were. So business decisions are required, so business decisions are needed to have a decision on a particular enterprise in a more fast and accurate manner by understanding and avoiding the but understanding and as well as looking of the facts. So this data analysis is being used. Next, the second point is that performance issues means what are the different performance issues which is required. So to identify the performance issues which require an action to be taken, action in terms of the decision, what is that we require. So wherein we can evaluate the performance issues here. At the same time, for any of the enterprise, they must be knowing about the needs, perceptions, demands of the customers even. Because if you take any organization, especially which is relating to the customer centric, customer connect, something like retailing or something, in order to take their business decisions or the investments they want to make to expand their business, they must be knowing about the perception of the customer, what customer is looking, why customer is looking this, right? What are the perceptions do they have? What are their future needs in order to know it, right? So all these things should require. So for that customer requirements, this is even required. It's not only that, of course, to create better business relations and all everything will also be an add-on to that. So especially for any enterprises, this is required. So they must be knowing about the future trends and projections so that decisions as well as the investments, whatever the people were doing, is completely depending on it. So it's not like vague information we have taken and vague decisions making, right? It's not, it should be a concrete one. It should have a clarity when we are taking up some assignments, all that stuff. That's the reason why data analysis is required here. Next, we can identify what are the possible risks which is involved in any of the enterprise so that we could understand the kind of risk which could happen in near times so that there are possibilities how to prevent it, right? What are the preventive measures are we taking and all everything will also be possible using this data analysis. Next, we can visualize the different dimensions of the data using nowadays popularly using different data visualization tools, something like Power BI, Tableau, all these we are using to visualize the data visualization by preparing some reports, all that stuff. That is also part of it. Next, if we want to identify the financial performances of the business, this is also required for any of the organization. It's not only running the enterprise for a very long time, that must be successful even business wise, at the same time financial wise. As an example, I'll give you an example to you. Let's say there is an organization called X, for example. They are doing a business for a very long time. Year by year, their turnovers were increasing a lot. Is that the only one sign of understanding that the business is increasing or successfully going? No. Equally, we have to see what operational cost is incurring year by year and how this operational cost is changing. That also we have to see. It's not only about the turnover, what is that increased, not only the turnover part, but we have to see the profits even. Parallelly, we need to observe how operational cost is changing and how operational cost is increasing. Because as long as operational cost is increasing and you don't have any control over the operational cost in any of the enterprise, how best the turnover you have doesn't have any value, because there is a possibility that the profits whatever we were acquiring and all everything will be in a less state. So performance, understanding the performance analysis, understanding the performance of the financial performance of the business. This is all possible using data analysis. So through this, so that we can understand, we can identify what are the ways of reducing the cost, because there are two ways in any enterprise or anywhere. There are two things: either you need to increase your profits so that you will be happy, or else if not possible of increasing profits and all everything, at least minimizing the cost, minimizing the operational cost, right? So try to reduce, I don't say reduce, try to minimize the operational cost, not to increase to an extent possible, so that whatever the minimum profits an organization has reached, it will be more helpful to them. Why? Because operational cost not equally increasing. Hence, organization, even though with a limited turnover, they will be more profitable and successful. At the same time, that will be giving them and success in terms of their future needs, all that stuff. So financial performance of any enterprise is essentially required. It's not only the turnover. So we must see what is the operational cost which is incurred in it and how this operational cost is changing year by year. Do we have any control over that? So that we can take the ways of reducing as well as controlling the cost, so that we can increase the profit. So these are the ways to do all this. End of the day, and the underlying point is data analysis is something essentially required. So this is what generally data analysis is being used. So data analysis is the one which is used for these reasons: to take decisions in business, to identify the performance issues, all that, understanding the perceptions of the customer, demands, needs, expectations, all this, even increasing the understanding level of risk which is involved and how to prevent or how to minimize and how to control the risk, visualization of data. Next, understanding the financial performances, so that we could understand what is the possible risk in terms of the cost which is incurred in the organization, so that how to control it, what are the ways of controlling it, and how to increase the profits. All these were needed, especially when we are using data analysis. This is all happens so that we can gain the competitive advantage even. So this is all about what data analysis is all about, and why data analysis or analyst is required for any of the organizations. Even from the individual perspective, data analyst is required to do all these. Now, the next point is, what are the different types of data analysis? There are two majorly, we can call them as types of analysis. One is qualitative research and second is quantitative research. Qualitative research focuses more on the kind of opinions as well as attitudes and beliefs of the one, what are we doing on day-to-day work. At the same time, quantitative research majorly focusing on the kind of data what is we have taken. Based upon the data, whatever the information, whatever the decisions are we taking in terms of the projections as well as the trends of the business in times, in near times and all future, all that stuff. That is all comes under quantitative research. Normally, This is a qualitative research is completely focusing on opinions, attitudes, all that, whereas quantitative research majorly focusing on data related. Using data, there are different tools we use. Of course, what tools are we using in data analysis, that I'll be explaining in some time after that, so that we can, there is a possibility that we can take decisions accordingly. This is all about quantitative research is all about. Now, when we talk about what are the steps involved in data analysis, the first part is that we need to define the questions, whatever the questions which are arised with us, and how to address those questions. That is what we have to do first. Next, we need to establish the measurement of priorities. What are the priorities do we have, and how to measure the priorities is the second level wherein to do that. Based upon the priorities and all, whatever the relevant data to be taking into an account, that has to be taken. For example, if you take a retail store wants to know what kind of FMCG products can be sold more in future, right? They want to know it. So on what basis they will be knowing about this? Based upon the present information what is there with us. Based on that, they can project what could be the future needs of them and all everything. So that they can assess what kind of FMCG products are more helpful for us in future and all. Everything they can identify based upon the present sales, whatever is happened, so that they can understood the future projections, so that it will be easier for them to take any kind of business decisions in near times. So that collecting relevant information, whatever is essentially required. So the relevant information here is the data of the sales, whichever is happens at this level, right? All these time, right? So all that information has to be collected. That's what generally collecting relevant data is. Next, whatever the data we have collected, we need to analyze it. So to analyze this data, this is where generally this data analysis tools and all everything comes into picture. As in when if you have some statistics idea, that is more helpful, because business statistics and all everything, the basics is essentially required for data analysis. So that statistics tools nowadays we have, of course, it's for very long time statistical tools people are using, like SPSS, R programming, right? So these are the tools we are using for a very long time. At the same time, the best one is that Excel is one of the tool which we were using since ages even. At the same time, Python is also an programming one which people were using for. At the same time, for data visualization, Power BI, Tableau, all that. So when it comes to the tools, data analysis tools, there are a lot of tools are available. Even we have, as I mentioned some time back, Excel will be used here, R programming, SPSS, Tableau, Power BI, Python, even ClickQ, right? So these are the different tools we use to analyze the data, what is that we have collected. So this may be varying from individual interest to interest, because all the tools may not be possible by any individual to learn or to acquire, because practically as it is a human intervention which is involved, we cannot expect that people will be successful in all the ways. So any one or two tools, at least maximum three to an extent possible, if you learn, it is more helpful to you. But it must be a combination of statistical tools with the IT related stuff, so that will give you more advantage in job perspectives, all that, right? So here analyzing the data using different tools as I stated and mentioned, including data visualization tools like Power BI, Tableau, all that will be used here. Next, whatever the data we have analyzed so far, that will be reviewed and interpreted. The results based on that decisions will be taken in any of the organization. So this is what the brief introduction about data analysis. So what data analysis is, what and for why data analysis is being used in any of the organizations, what are the types and what are the steps involved in data analysis. Nowadays, the career opportunities are more for this because any enterprise, any organization, as I mentioned couple of times sometime back, in order to take any decision on something, there must be a concrete evidence. There must be a concrete information should be required. It is not just by doing through exaggeration, right? So just by looking something and say, right? So there must be a scientific approach of doing it. So that scientific approach is possible using this data analysis in any of the organization. So this is the one which is useful for the people who wants to transform their careers, or this is the one which is useful for anyone who wants to pursue their career into data analysis, or if they wants to explore themselves in future days and all. So for that also this data analysis is widely used. And this is a continuous process wherein of course we require some upgradation from time to time by any individual, not only the learning of basics. To start with, people can learn basics and they can start their career. Later on, they can improve their skill set by acquiring knowledge on the tools. All these things is a regular practice which everyone has to do it. So this is what generally the future projection in reference to data analysis is all about. I hope this video has given a clear insights about what data analysis, why data analysis, all that. At the same time, what are the different types of data analysis? What are the steps involved in it? If you have any training needs, or else if you have any questions in reference to data analysis, please reach out to our contact details, which will be provided in below to the video, so that we are happy to answer all your questions as well as the training needs what you have. Thank you.